Alright, so I've decided to start a reading vlog for the Roberts Readathon, which is a readathon hosted by Books Like War, where you basically have to read as much Nora Roberts as you can. Based on like the books I have to read from my library, I wasn't planning on reading that, but I went to my library a few days ago, and by browsing I just saw this Year 1 Nora Roberts book, and this is the group read, and so I was like, why not try it? I mean, I always wanted to try Nora Roberts, so I'm pretty excited about it. I don't think this is the book that is recommended to start with, but it's okay. Okay, so there's a sickness going on. Is it paranormal or urban fantasy or something like that? I don't know. I just want to try it out and see if I like the writing. This book actually was on my TBR for a while, so I'll be excited to try it. Okay, so this is a 2017 book, I think. So it's still pretty recent. But yeah, I'm super excited to start, and let's see, hopefully I like it. Well, like I said, I'm only gonna read this book for this readathon, but I thought it was a really cool idea and I'm really excited to participate in it. Okay, so I'm about 100 pages in this book. So I finished the first part, which is called The Doom, and I have just started The Escape. I think there's 4 parts altogether, I think. So I know a little bit more about the story. There is this sickness that hit the world in just a couple of days. It's spreading really fast and it's killing billions of people. It is also a paranormal read, so there are talks about witches and fairies from what I've read so far. And so we are following multiple characters. We are following a witch whose powers just came about, which is kind of strange and seems to be related to the Doom. So we are also following the daughter of the patient 0, so the first victim who contracted the disease. We also are following a doctor, and we're also following Jonah, who is a paramedic, and also we're following a journalist. I think that's about it. It's really smart how it's done. Some come together, so it's very interesting. I like how the writing sets the atmosphere. I think it does a really good job of emphasizing the rush of the events, that everything is happening so quickly. The world is having a really hard time keeping up with the pandemic and knowing what to do and where to go. So yes, I can't say that I'm super intrigued otherwise. The writing is good and the story, it's pretty smooth reading, but I'm not necessarily loving the idea or the premise or the plot. So, but we'll see where it goes. I'm only 1/4 through it, so hopefully I'm gonna read 100 pages today. I'll get a better feel of what I think. Alright, so I have read a little bit more of this book. I have done some sprint with the hauling pack on Discord. I've read to the halfway mark, so I read like about 100 more pages. Right now, it's all about the survival, so it's quite interesting. I like how it's written. It has a lot of urgency, you know, because everything is happening so fast and they have to get out and find safe shelter. And I really like how each storyline and each point of view is coming together and everyone seems to be connected in some sort of way. So I like that a lot. However, we haven't really delved into the paranormal and the magic. The people who have magic are called the uncanny. They are either being chased, or if they practice dark magic, they are chasing innocent people and people with magic. Like, it doesn't really matter. And also there is this fear that the government is trying to find anyone who is immune to the virus and take them away to run some tests. We haven't really seen that happen. It's just very much present as a thing that's looming over people's head. So far, halfway through, I would say it's been just about surviving and finding help and finding supplies and all that stuff. So I still enjoy it, like the writing is nice, but I don't feel like that much is happening. It's still setting up everything, and we are really just starting to maybe get into the magic side of it. So I'm really excited to learn more about that and see what's going on here. That's about it for today. I might read a little bit more tonight and probably will try to update tomorrow. So I have read about 100 pages more today. I'm at 300 pages, and so I have about 150 pages left, and I'm almost at the last part. So what has been happening since the last checkup is basically more surviving the apocalypse and finding supplies and making a plan for what is going to happen next, where people will go, etc. We have had a little bit more of the magic and I guess the dark side of it. So that was interesting. However, I just feel like this whole magic and paranormal creatures thing is kind of dumped on us, and we just have to take it at face value without really questioning where it's coming from. So, oops, I've been looking at the wrong side. I don't know if this book, since it's only book one, I don't know if I'll get into the roots of it. I mean, I guess it's urban fantasy, so you might not need necessarily to explain the whole system like you would in a high fantasy. But still, people are just not really questioning that, you know, there are fairies and there are elves and there are witches. I mean, sure, like I would love to live in a world like that, but I still feel like people would have a lot of questions about it. All the perspectives are starting to come together, and they all are starting to live in a community and basically, you know, build a new sort of town. So that's interesting. And so within the community, of course, there are people who are scared about the magic, so they are starting to make trouble. Some action needs to be taken quite urgently before it just goes bad. I can't say that I care for the characters. We get some glimpse into what is happening, and then a few weeks go by and we get another glimpse. So it's not just happening in a few days anymore, it's happening over a longer period of time. For most of the characters I'm not really connecting with, I guess. And same thing with the story, is not grabbing my attention. I guess obviously since it's the first book in a series, it feels very much like a setup. I'm just curious to where it's going and what this whole series is gonna be about, basically. I guess it's just uneventful. There's still stuff happening. So it's kind of strange, I guess. Alright, so I just finished year one. Yesterday, I think I was at 300 pages, and this morning I read 50 more pages, and I have to say it was quite boring. It was just the same thing over and over again. Obviously it was still within the survival part, and then it went into the dark to light part, which was the last part. This one I probably liked the least. I thought like the pacing for this part changed a lot. The time passed way faster than at the beginning of the story when the characters were being set up and everything. Of course that makes sense, but I just didn't like that difference of pacing. Obviously we've gone a whole year now, and it's very predictable in what happens and what is happening to the characters, honestly. I guess it wasn't until the last 60 pages, 60 to 70 pages, that the story started to develop a little bit more than what has been going on. I think that this is clearly a setup for what's gonna happen in the series. It's still like 400 and some pages. I would have rather this being told in a couple of chapters instead of like having a whole book for itself because it's just a bit boring. I can't say that much happens, and I can't say that there is a real character study because there are so many characters that we are getting a glimpse of, and what is their trauma, what is their life, and what is happening to them. And so we don't really have the time to go in depth with them. I mean, the only character that we do that with is Lana. I just didn't really care what would happen to any of them, to be honest. I mean, it's easy and fast to read. I think this works as a backstory to what is actually gonna really happen in this series, and so I would have rather not have a whole book on it, if that makes sense, or have this as a prequel maybe, rather than being the first book, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'll continue with this series. I think I might just look up some spoilers of what happens, because we left most of the people to follow only Lana at the end. I just didn't really like that split. I wasn't sure where the story was going, but I guess the story isn't really going anywhere else than what you already is expecting it to go. So there's really nothing much that happens apart from them trying to survive. It's not even about them trying to survive this virus, but it's more about them trying to survive the wreck that people are causing. It's talking about an epic of hope and horror, chaos and magic, and a journey that will unite a desperate group of people to fight the battle of their lives. Are they fighting the battle of their lives, or is it in the next book? Because I am not sure we are seeing that happen in this book. It says, but a purpose awaits them that will shape their lives and the lives of all those who remain. The end has come, the beginning comes next. And I just feel like this is not the beginning. This is right up until the beginning, if that makes sense. Talked a lot about authorities, I guess, kidnapping people to test on them, but we haven't really seen any of that on the page. Like, nothing like that happened. I don't think we've met people that escaped that or something like that. Like, so yeah, that makes sense that it would be something, but it feels like it's stuck in the book a bit too much for the place that it's taking in that book anyway. I'm happy that I tried it. I had been interested in that book. There's another book by her that I was interested to. I think it's called The Dark Witch. I mean, I don't dislike her writing. I think it's nice to read, so I'll definitely continue. Also realized that I actually have book of my own by Nora Roberts, and it's Midnight Bayou. It's like an older book though, and it sounded really cool, so I would definitely be interested in checking it out much sooner than I would have done so if I hadn't read year one. But that's it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed. I can't wait for the live show that Books Like Wow is hosting. I'm really excited to hear their thoughts. It's probably something that motivates me to read the books the most, to read a book along with other people and then watch a discussion and participate in it. It's so much fun. Let me know if you read any of her books and what you've thought of them. And yeah, make sure to like this video if you enjoy vlogs that are specifically focused on one book or like a theme. Subscribe if you want to see more of those, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!